way of looking at the natural world, seeing that it is self-organizing, seeing how intricately interconnected all life forms are through holonic hierarchies, nested hierarchies of belonging and interdependence. Do you know that the Ludwig von Bertalanffy, the father, as they call him, of living systems theory, said, "My response is one of reverence." And I just love that Dana called this evening sacred, not synthetic, versus synthetic biology. So our response, even from the scientists, is to touch into our sense of the sacred. Life is a gift. It is a holy gift. We accept it with respect and reverence and gratitude. Third voice that guides me when I think about this nightmare that is being perpetrated is the voice of the legal profession as well. Those lawyers and thinkers that have been brought us forth the precautionary principle. You know, it's the one that says, you put the value that you put, let me see what it says here. When an activity raises threats of harm to human health or the environment, precautionary measures should be taken even if some cause and effect relationships are not fully established scientifically. Your burden of proof is not put on the victim, but on the maker of the threat. You have to show that it is harm-free. What that would save us. And so that precautionary, it sounds a little bit bloodless, doesn't it? But it really comes from an ancient concept, Fürsorge, for caring. To care enough about this gift of life that you look ahead at the results of your actions. And you don't just wait out and cause harm and then demand that the victims of it go to the enormous expenditure of money and time to have to prove an infallible connection. And it involves exploring alternatives to what you're looking for and bringing democracy and transparency to the very operations themselves. Fourth voice that I want to bring into this is the voice of the indigenous ones. And at the time when the precautionary statements were being in the late 1990s, you know, we in the San Francisco Bay Area can be proud to know that one of the first municipalities to espouse the precautionary principle is San Francisco. So the Indigenous Environmental Network has this to say, hear this voice. We have learned over thousands of years to live in harmony with the land and the waters. It is our intent to survive and thrive on this planet for this and many generations to come. And this survival, we know, depends on a living web of relationships in our communities and lands, among humans and others, an interdependence of relationship that goes right down to the cellular and even particle level of our bodies. Government agencies and others in charge of protecting these relationships have repeatedly broken treaties and promises. That's not much news, is it? They have failed in their duty to uphold the tribal and public trust. And so we begin again to say, and widening our sense of whom we speak with, our brothers and sisters living now, including the settlers and people of all colors, that this land and our bodies are sacred. Who guards this web of life that nurtures and sustains us all? It is we who must step forward now to be guardians, because life is under attack as it has never been. And that calls us into a role and into a responsibility that will take all our wisdom and all our courage and will demand that we work together so that we can say, yes, we tend the relationships. We work together to prevent harm. We together will create the conditions for health and wholeness. We teach the culture and we tell the stories. We have the sacred right and obligation to protect the commonwealth and common health of our people and all our relations for this generation and 7 generations to come. We are the guardians of the 7th generation. Isn't that true for each one of us? Don't you feel deep in your own selves a call to that? And our ancestors 7 generations back didn't have to face that there was going to be a plunder and piracy of the very genetic material that makes us up. Who could have imagined that? But it has been imagined, and then in some insane pursuit of profit, it is happening. And so that calls us forward to play a role that humans didn't have to play before. That we will be there to guard life itself down right to the cellular level for the sake of all those who will come, those who live now and those who will come after us. And that brings me to the 5th voice. And for the 5th voice, the voice of the young, I brought with me tonight a poem written by a young woman as an ode to her DNA. She was in a workshop of mine about a dozen years ago. She had barely turned 20, Chelsea Page-Collonge. She belonged then, as she does now, to the Catholic worker movement. And she allowed me to put it on my website, so I guess I can read it to you, can't I? You want to hear what she said? And let's feel that the depths of the recognition of the sacred and the gladness of our response of what we want to protect. Present in every living thing. You, my DNA, direct my growth from cell to breath. Too small for radar, your words encode my body, my tangible presence. You connect me with all life. Bonobo chimpanzee to California poppy. And yet you make me unique. Wheat-colored hair, swollen joints. Oh, spiral fishing line. You connect my parents to their maybe grandchildren and lie snug in my egg cell in the pink pillow of my womb. all this wonder wound tight into your ladder-like spring. And oh, DNA, I fear for you, you bringer of order, yet so mutable and mutatable, and like radiation invisible. Another Chernobyl, or even the cell phone in my pocket, could scramble your wisdom. Make my babies born with open skulls or heart defects like the kids of Belarus. You created us, DNA. Don't let us destroy you. Encode new proteins for a brain that thinks ahead, a heart that respects life. Help us evolve. Thank you, Chelsea. And thank you all for your love of life and respect for the exquisite ordering of life, biological mysteries that are in each one of you that have come here to the hub tonight. And may blessings upon your reverence and respect. That's all you need to help us all make it through. That's all. Reverence and respect. Oh, yeah, and each other. Yes, and a dose of ingenuity. Thank you.